fuck? Read the disclaimer. Alright everyone, we're at the end. We had to see if a quad strike is shoot or not. And I can finally no longer have to talk about quad strike after this. So I have to basically go over anything I missed. So I think it's like 19 to 26 from this point. So I will try not to throw anything that's too major that hasn't already been revealed. Maybe, I don't know, game's the game on YouTube, right? No, I probably will then. Game's the game. But, you know, I'm a little curious on what we got so far. And I kind of just want to go over a lot of this stuff. So I kind of want to breeze through this episode just because, you know, we've already passed it. So, again, I think Pree and Pax are still probably the best highlights of this season. She wants to practice with Belle in preparation for Kit. And even Kit is practicing against... So, this episode I think was okay. Like, I didn't even think this episode was that bad. I actually like that on both different bladers. They're both practicing kind of for, like, this match that's so important. Kit goes up against Volt. I think the VFX, again, you know, VFX usually I don't think really misses with Burst. I think for visual effects, it really looks cool. And he keeps on losing, and Iger's like, I don't really think you're going to beat Volt. And he's like, well, what do I have that... What does Volt have that I don't? And I was going to say talent, but I feel like that's too mean to Kit. I feel like that's too mean. No, I thought this was kind of interesting that there's like, no, you actually have to really try to believe in it, you know. And, you know, I think it's kind of interesting. Like, usually they kind of just have it where... I don't know, like it's always been paced so weird. So I was actually really getting into it, and then they throw crap at us because they give us another flashback that takes 2 minutes of the runtime of this episode. 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. That was very, very annoying. And then afterwards, in terms of the conversation that Pree has with Pax. There's two conversations, and again, I think the relationship developing in this season is probably the best highlight. What was it? The first one was, you know, she's trying to explain to Pax that she is her own blader. You know, she really tried her best. She was very, very much trying to work with her brother, trying to accomplish, you know, like the blading dreams, like, oh, I'll blade for you, all this stuff. And I think that's really, really good. But in development in the season, she's like, oh, no, I am my own person. And through the development in this episode, that's what I think is really nice, because the previous seasons are like really shoot how they basically handled it. Like in D-Bean sparking, I really despise it. So anytime I get to praise this season for something, it's definitely going to be on how they handled the characters. 200%. In terms of the VFX, I liked how Wind kind of used its actual like air ability to kind of throw it on the side. I thought the KO was nice. I think they had like one draw or whatever. And VFX really cool. It goes in the air, and I like how Bellfire goes and it does like the dive thing. I don't even know if we've seen this shot. I think like we've seen a similar shot like this before, but I can't remember. But the finishing shot looks really sick. Like that looks super, super good. So in terms of visual presentation, you know, I'm definitely vibing a lot with this episode. And, you know, the end conversation is what I thought was really interesting, where it's kind of goofy because it's like, I finally understand. I enjoy Beyblade. He's like, oh, keep the Pandoras. I'll make my own Beyblade, as he was like holding his arm walking. It was so goofy. I'll make my own. I don't need you. I already got the data. I just thought it was funny. It's just weird. I'll make my own Beyblade. I think this episode got, I don't know, this one actually I thought was fine. I didn't like the flashback. I think the flashback really kind of hurt it a little bit more, but I actually think this one was okay. This one I don't think was that crap of an episode. I actually think, like, some episodes are really shoot how they do it, but for this one, like, I actually legitimately think I kind of enjoyed this one. Okay, now we're on episode 20. And also, I do want to just give a quick shout out, by the way, to Dronzer X13, because they were like a huge freaking help to see the final stuff. I gotta compliment this season, right? Because obviously, when all the episodes dropped, it's 3 a.m. and I just finished marathoning it, and I'm now going episode by episode. Dude, what very, very like impressed to say the least. Very impressed to say the least. Yeah, Iger versus Bell. Okay, because I thought it was really goofy because they're doing like this champions thing, and then after they do the Lodestar tournament thing. That's the one that's after this thing, whatever. But you know, Bell versus Iger. I think like I don't know what I'm watching anymore because like the difference between these last few episodes and like whatever we got before is such like a significant difference. Like no offense, but like I will say a lot of early quad strike here and there, like a little crap. But like here, like genuinely, like they have my praise, man. Like this actually feels like solid, and I mean this because before I was ranking it maybe kind of okay, but I think because of these last few episodes, like it goes up in stock for me. So they're basically practicing in the stadium. Also, one thing I want to make note that I thought was really, really funny is that so there's like basically like the little elemental stadium thing. It's based on the Light Ignite, whatever the stupid stadium name is. What I find really funny is that every time that they do this, like, okay, so the bays glow, right? And they do this whole thing where it's like, oh, you remember Resonance? Okay, well, the elemental thing, but they're similar. Okay, the thing is, regardless of how they want to say elemental and resonance or how close that was, or we've seen this before, the bays, not all the bays light up in the same way that they're trying to do it, and it's always kind of funny to see, but there are specific bays where they'll go, oh, it changed color, so I thought that was kind of funny. Bell appears, and through the actual development in this episode that I thought was really nice is that Pax is making his bay. In times now where the flashbacks make sense, right? Where I don't feel they're jarring fillers, when Pax is reflecting on his past with Pre. Like, it was a fair complaint for the pacing, like it has to make sense for the episode, or at least not so dragged. But these I think are fine. And he's really pissed off at Iger, because Iger is basically saying, no bro, what the hell do you know? And he's like, I'll show you. So then afterwards, the stadium lights up, and I have not been like genuinely for bursts, like here and there, you know, maybe for the thing where actually, I think because I'm just really that tired of burst, I was seeing this, I was like, damn, okay, they're putting all the stops, and like Iger was like, oh, I think you got my title wrong. No, I'm actually the invincible ultimate super duper champion. And he does like the thing where like, you know, like in Japanese when they say like chozetsu, and he says like, oh, I'm gonna go turbo. I don't know. I'm really tired, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm really tired. I thought that I was like, oh, the turbo pun. They always not even a pun. The turbo phrase. Listen, the VFX on the battles are really insane. It just looks really good. Okay, so Iger's going for it. Like, dude, the choreography is actually good now. And I was like, where was this? Where was this? Like, genuinely, consistently good pacing. The storyboarding work was really good. The animation and art was on point. Like, wow, like, this is genuinely good. And they do like this little thing where now like the Blazers when they're battling in that stadium and like they'll actually light up and everything. And then after, you know, beats Bell, everyone's cheering for Bell. He focuses with Achilles on his little resonance thing. Like genuinely good. The battle's going on. Pax is still developing his bay. And he loses, and then after they go, oh, it's time for an Evo. So it's real okay. So basically lost whatever, and I think that's fine. That makes sense. And I think actually, like, even though like it's burst is kind of weird, consistent, kind of like scaling. Technically, scaling is just whatever they basically want the character to be for that episode. A lot of times, but sometimes they'll have it where this character's stronger than the other. But what I find funny is that this is like the point where he's supposed to make the ultimate Belial. But the thing is, because without crap Hasbro is right, with like the gears and whatever. He can't technically do that, but so he basically just makes the ultimate base. This is supposed to be Belial with all the gears and everything, or Bellfire. Yeah, I'm still not gonna lie to you. No matter what, the Hasbro base still look ugly. Like the VFX work, yeah, but the Hasbro base look really bad. Okay, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Alright, now we're at like, what are we on, 21? Yeah, 21, because before it was 20. So it's only got to timestamp this for me. Okay, I was kind of thrown off on this, because I know he's making the debate, but they immediately just go to like Volt versus PAX, and PAX has his new drip. Very good design. Very good design. Kind of reminds me of something maybe out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so when he battles Volt and everything, the effects in Pandemonium looks really cool. The arm stuff is so interesting when he's like moving and everything. Like Pax for his new set of bank animation for that outfit is really solid. Like if they're gonna reuse, fair enough. Like it looks really good. Also pay attention, okay? Because he develops also at the end. Pay attention to what's the color that's surrounding him. But yeah, he basically goes for it. And he battles Volt, so yeah, more or less kind of, so it's like the whole like thing where they then have to do the title card, then it's like here, he's slapping around Valtryek, and he wins by a burst. That's Pandemonium's avatar. I still don't, what's it, with Pandemonium, how related is like the avatar design with it, or is it just like it's just using the name? Oh, the design looks really cool. I don't know about the Halloween color choice though. Volt loses, but he's like, oh wow, you got really strong. Oh, in your arm, whatever. Oh, that's cool. So then after Bill's practicing, and Ranzo was on his streak, and then after he's on the punching bag. He's at the punching bag streak now. See, I actually like Ranzo. I actually thought, oh my god, they're finally stopped using someone as a goddamn punching bag. Thank God. Okay, and afterwards from there, because they're basically practicing, they see like basically the Baytube video. Eiger gets a challenge from Pax. Volt wants to evolve his Bay. He does evolve it. Unfortunately, the QS crap Valtryek. It looks terrible, the Bay. But no, then after it's Bell wants to challenge him. Then, okay, this is actually really awesome. Okay, now we see the past, because basically it's like this launching incident, whatever. His arm, severely injured. He might not be able to even use that arm. And I was like, okay. And then after, doesn't want to make his sister worry. Does like this research on the element stuff. And then after, that's kind of like, it's like all these things that come together. So I actually think PAX is very, very compelling. And I think considering that's the burst for like animation, not like a lot of times like the antags I don't think are developed too well compared to, let's say, some later stuff of the manga for like the later seasons. But Pax shows off his Bay. I have to absolutely give hats off to the animators. I don't know who did this sequence, and I did not pay attention to the credits, so someone who knows all that animation stuff, feel free to dump. But his launch sequence is so good. He pulls it, and then like really good smear frames, and look at that. That looks awesome. And what's cool too is like, because he has a thing that's supporting his arm, so like it's like what is it, like bursting with like kind of like elemental energy, then it closes. That sequence looks awesome, dude. Yeah, honestly, I think this is my favorite. I think it's my favorite launch sequence. Like it looks like he actually. I don't know if this makes any sense. This might sound dumb, but he actually feels kind of like a real Antag vibe or something, kind of like a real boss type of vibe. I don't know if that makes kind of sense. He basically uses the elements. So Pax is like, if this was like a fighting game, he's basically like spamming the supers. That's what he's basically doing. He's going for the supers, and then after he goes for the ultimate. There's one where like, it gets wrapped in darkness, and then he closes his hand and he grabs it, and that's like the shadow sequence, and that sequence looks freaking good, dude. Yeah, and then after double burst for this one. And then after, now they're doing like whatever this Lodestar thing is, whatever. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of just tuned it out because I'm like, how many tournaments do you gotta go through in one season? Volt has his Bay. Volt, my friend, you should have gotten the Versus set. You should have not got that Hasbro 2-pack. And then after, Pre's trying to talk to Pax, and Pax is ignoring her. Okay, next episode. Now for the intro sequence, now it has Flame Pandora and it shows there. So basically, Oh, we're not even there yet. I'm sorry. They had it in the intro and I was already jumping ahead. I like this stage, by the way. I don't... It feels like such a nice finale place. Like, actually, visually looks very nice. Okay, yeah. So, this part of the episode, which I'm gonna be honest, I think I was watching a little bit almost ×2 speed. But this part is like a little bit, I think, was taking a little bit too much time when she was making the bay. I don't think they had to have the whole thing where they're like staring at her trying to make that. I think they could have just almost like kind of cut that down a little bit. I do think pacing's a little bit weird. So when she was trying to show it to Pax, so how Pax kind of used the Pandoras, from my understanding, is this whole time when she's battling, right? It's his creation, his base. So basically, kind of just... He takes a lot of pride in the Pandoras and his creation. So every time he's telling her how to blade, it's because he's trying to be like, this is how I want it to blade, but I can't because of my arm injury. So you have to blade how I want to, right? So he's kind of pushing this thing on her. But I think it's really cool how she develops Pandora. And keep in mind that I'm trying to give my best commentary as possible just because I'm exhausted, dude. But... I thought this was actually pretty interesting. It's a 3-way battle, and Flame Pandora is still like the worst Pandora out of all of them. I mean in competitive performance. Like, no, like I'm not even kidding. Flame Pandora literally is like in the bottom tier of Quad Strike. But at least the animation makes it look good, right? Yeah. So it's going for it. The VFX here looks really awesome. Like when the wind stuff combines, and then after when the avatars get like this elemental thing, they actually change in appearance. She does like flame whip, good VFX, good. Listen, dude. The VFX looks good. It looks very, very good. Like visual presentation is a lot of times how you can probably win me. The rest of how you can win me is like actually a good story, how they use the characters and that type of stuff. But. Yeah, I think it's really interesting too because she wants to just connect with her brother because her brother is kind of like pushing her away. I think also like her brother's also still rooting for her, and I'm just thinking like truly like for a season, I think the development is really interesting. So she basically goes up against Dante. What I like is because, okay. With Ruined Pandemonium is basically spamming all the elements because that's it. It's using all the elements together. That's how you beat Volt. Then after with the Pandora stuff, she's able to also utilize all the elements the same. The only thing that's weird and where I'm gonna kind of say, is that, okay, Pandemonium, whatever, that makes sense, all the elements, all the things together. What's weird is that when you go to Flame Pandora, it's flame, right? To me, I feel they should have had Flame Pandora, but they should have had another Pandora where it's all the Pandoras combined or something, where that kind of makes a little bit more sense to me, because it's kind of weird that Flame utilizes them all, but I guess whatever, because the three combined to get to like the thing. Aside from that, again, battle super entertaining, good effects, Pax was actually cheering on. We freaking see the avatars actually do something in like these last few episodes. We rarely see that, and that's like one of my biggest criticisms towards Burst in general, is that for these cool avatar designs that we see so many of the same sequences over and over and over, I was so surprised, like, dude, wait, they remember to animate like the other sequences with the avatar? She goes for it, gets the W. Dante is like, wow, that be so cool. And then after, okay, next episode. Okay, no. We're at whatever the next episode number is now. I lost track. Okay, so Iger has a lot of pressure on himself because of the fact that Vault lost. It's up to him now to stop Pax. And again, I'm like, it feels like the season just dragged on for so long, so to actually feel like, wow, there's so many, like, kind of like, okay, now they're setting up like the stakes, now there's pressure on the bladers now, and there's none that didn't have it before. It feels like especially strong now. So again, I'm gonna give credit to the season where like credit is due. Like again, I feel this is very strong, and just because he uses Hasbro Fist, like, I think people thought I was just gonna hate Quad Strike just because of that. If it's genuinely good, I'll praise it. Valtryek goes up against Chikaru with Helios. Oh, this is like the Lodestar thing now, whatever tournament thing that they set up. I literally just don't care. I don't. So then after, when they move on from there, right, what I find really funny is that when Valtryek does like the Ultimate V thing, because the Hasbro one does not have that contact point, it basically just, the thing turns red, where, because it's, they basically just try to make it look like almost the actual Ultimate Valkyrie, because it's not, and he wins. The new Belial avatar I forgot to mention, I think is just like a slight reskin, I'm pretty sure. Oh, and the Valtryek one also is slightly different. I think it's just like, it's a redraw of the original Ultimate, just with some different paint on it. Not paint, like different sections colored in, I mean. But yeah, Bellfire versus Hyperion, clears through, cool, whatever. He makes a new launcher at the end, which I have to say that I literally did this. I literally did this. It's not the exact colors, but that means I was nearly close on like the freaking custom, man. So yeah, I'm gonna pretty much give myself credit there. But yeah, moving on again. Once again, we are at the next one. So this is the whole little Lodestar thing. So, okay, so she won against Dante, Volt once against Hikaru, Bell beat Hyuga, and then after it's supposed to be Iger versus Pax. And they're kind of just reflecting on the previous stuff. Also, I think there's one thing that gets a little bit funny a little bit later on, but I'll mention that the more we get to it. But okay, Pax is just completely lost at this point, and all sanity. He's just focused on this identity that he now put on with this whole pandemonium thing. Bell's practicing, he's trying out the launcher because it has like a lot of power, which I guess this is supposed to be some weird advertisement for like the Excalia, this launcher thing, whatever. I don't know. Cool, I guess. I mean, I guess contextually in this story that he was like remembering the fact of like Xander and his launcher, and he was like, okay, I'll just go make a launcher too. And then he does it, but it's like, it's not even all black, which I thought it would have. It's like black and red, which is like, why? So basically, Iger versus Pax here. Pax, the wind element, all this stuff looks so good. Vision, and you know what I love too, and they do this a lot with like the elemental stuff, is when they clash, it's almost like kind of like glass breaking kind of effect, like this elemental power that's kind of like hitting into each other, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, Pandemonium spams that's literally, Pax just spams the elements. That's how he does it. You know, he does. Iger's doing the shield. Now he's Sephiroth. He has the one wing now, which just looks cool. I don't know why it's just one wing, but design-wise, I'm not complaining. It looks really cool. And then after, you know, as we you know, move on from there. Very good slash by Achilles, you know, he gets the points. In the next match, he's in high mode, and the thing is, like, before, he didn't have the high mode. Now he does. He murders Achilles. He murders Achilles in high mode. I swear to God, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but this is like I think we were joking about it, like this is now the only instance where he goes into high mode, because there's this layer distance now with hitting it. So he goes to Shu, and this is probably like this is like, okay, now finally Shu's there, and he now it's like, just, you know, kind of makes sense he's there in the story. And when Pax goes, oh, finally someone who can understand me, because like this whole thing with like connecting back to Beyblade Burst God, like the whole mask thing, he's like, oh, finally someone who can understand, you know, what I'm going through. And he's like, oh. When Shu says, I also know what's in store for you, I thought that was really cool. And basically he's now warning about Pax. Alrighty, now we're at the next episode. Okay, so now they're having a conversation about Pax. So the thing is, with why Pax wears the mask, it's not actually because of the, well, I mean, they say it could maybe boost some elemental thing. But the reason why he kind of has this whole get-up and outfit is that, one, it's blocking the view of his damaged arm, and the other, it's like it's holding it in. And I thought, okay, that's a little interesting. So he kind of has this whole get-up and everything, kind of like this sort of persona. They kind of block kind of from like that trauma before where like his arm was severely injured. And I thought, that's kind of cool. I think that's a little bit interesting. And I think, you know, Burst characters have really bad luck with their arms. So I kind of also thought it was funny that she was the one who was talking to Pax. So I was like, well, yeah, she should also know quite a bit about that. Because wasn't he going through that whole issue with like his arm or whatever? I remember that in season 1. So you're basically just watching Pax. And Pax wants to be a legend, right? He wants to be recognized, okay? But she's like, listen, you're never going to be like this. And I think it's like this idea of sort of like not try to have the mask to try to hide who you are, to kind of like try to also maybe be like your true self. So when he's kind of saying, no, if you want to be a legend, you have to take off the mask. So I think it's interesting. So I think in a way that he kind of maybe misinterpreted why Shu had the mask and everything. And he believed that the mask, this sort of persona, was something that actually makes them stronger, but it doesn't. So I think that's kind of interesting. And yeah, then after like Volt has his Bane, whatever. And listen, you know, he's like, listen, you better beat Volt. And I hope to see you in the finals when he's talking to her. So the Bay lights up. In terms of, again, you know, visual presence. Okay, listen. Visually, again, I'm in the void. Visually, again, very nice. Very, very nice. I think the effects when they're clashing looks really good. When Pandora is hitting it. The flame effects look awesome. And again, I very much enjoy, like, I have to keep on saying it, but I think the battles, like, for the VFX work is really good. I think the choreography is really solid. And, I don't know, it feels fast-paced. It doesn't feel, like, too weak. And I think it's mostly because they're kind of just using this whole elemental stuff. So it doesn't kind of get in the way, because a lot of the issues with the choreography I have in Quad Strike is that a lot of the stuff is written with the original gimmicks in mind, and a lot of the battles just don't look good because of that, because it doesn't feel right. But yeah. Okay, well, they're battling. And I also thought, like, this was, like, very good for Pri, because this entire season she was basically trying to become her, like, herself, like a blader. And she uses Pandora to the best of her ability. She made Pandora, clashes with Valtryek. It's a double burst, but unfortunately, you gotta buy that 2-pack with Ultimate Valtryek, and then after, Valkyrie wins. I think it's fine, whatever. Obviously, like, it's whatever. I'm just, okay, well, fair enough, I guess. But she still was pretty happy, right? And when she was talking to Bell, she was, like, complimenting him. But I just, like... this is, like, literally, like, okay. So, in that moment there when they're kind of talking to each other, she's almost, like, trying to, like, say something, like, about Bell. But then she, like, blushes and turns away. And Bell's like, I command you to finish what you were going to say. So I was like... Okay, so is this like a tsundere moment for like Pri and Bell? So she does obviously have a lot of admiration towards Bell, which I guess makes sense, because Bell was really helpful to her throughout the whole season. So it kind of makes sense that she has like a lot of respect for Bell. And I was like, oh, okay. Anyways, we're gonna get to the final episode now. Yippee! Now we are at the next episode. Thank God. We're at the end, and Bell has like a really cool launching sequence I thought was really well animated. That looked really, really good. I think that was the most on model I've ever seen in this season. He's been always like very much like weirdly off model. Also, when she tried to battle Pax, she lost. Pax looks really cool in this shot. Yeah, Pax is completely lost like Pandemonium. It's kind of interesting how, one, he's stuck in high mode, but also it's like, every single time, am I wrong? I feel like this has been like that for almost like now 3 seasons. How many seasons has it been where like it's like the villain character, and it's only at the end when they properly connect to like the avatar of their Bay, or how many times does this actually happen? I'm actually trying to think. How many instances have there actually been of that? Pandemonium, he basically just wants to show the true power of all these element stuff. Darkness. It's literally darkness, okay? It's literally darkness. The final battle is gonna get started. He's flaring up with his resonance. The shot looks awesome. Pandemonium is going for it. Balefire clashes. It's really intense, actually. So there was one sequence, I think, when they were doing all the element stuff that sometimes they have to kind of like dim it on the scenes, which I guess is fine and that makes sense. But you know, it was traveling. It was going for like that little ruin, like break hit, and then after the base almost about to be destroyed, and then after Balefire comes through with it and like breaks like kind of like that little fire orb it was trapped in. It's like, God, you won't beat me, you won't beat me. And he cracks the thing on his arm, which the whole thing was like protecting his arm, I'm pretty sure. And then afterwards, he launches, it breaks. But thanks to the power of longevity and healing, his arm is fine. His arm is indeed fine. Oh, fine. I want to also say this because I just noticed this, but also I was thinking, yeah, they probably save a lot of time in the battles, but they just kept doing that. Okay, you know how like they did like, how many times does this happen in like the burst animation where it's like a split for both of the avatars at the same time? Because I just thought they do that a lot where it's the same sequence and they always repeat it. So why don't they just ever just keep on doing the split? I thought that was a good thing that they did there. Pandemonium's going for it. They both clash. Awesome effects again. It's a good round. Pax feels his arm, it's fine. I don't know who this is supposed to be. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming this was just some rando, and they're all cheering. Because basically they have this character here, and I was like, wait, was that Volt for a second? No, it's literally just some rando. And everyone's cheering, and look at that. When Pax launches, it's like a reflection of when the past when he was talking to Pri. And then after, it's her aged up. He's developed, he finally connects with Pandemonium. And all like that darkness, whatever, now it turns to light. Darkness. I'm recording half an hour in, and I wanted to say darkness turns to light. Yeah, it looks pretty cool when they're clashing and everything. What's actually really cool is that when they're basically clashing, right? It kills all the lights. Pitch black. They can't see anything, right? And I was like, okay. And they're still going at it. I think visually again, I've been repeating myself. It looks good. Everyone's cheering and then all like their digital screens pop up and then after it lights up the whole arena. It goes for the clash, you know, and obviously... Oh, actually, that was nice. Actually, the mouth there, I didn't remember. There's the flame there. Nice. And he wins. Pax is defeated. Fair enough. But Pax is finally happy. He enjoys Beyblade. They made up. She doesn't want to have to... This whole thing of, like, the mask, whatever. It's like, no, it's just have fun. Have fun. How many times is that there last time? Well, I guess they finally get to enjoy and also like kind of like, you know, in respect to Beyblade, so I think that's nice. Then after it's like the final battle of Volt versus... This is literally the manga. This is the manga, okay? This is literally like the manga stuff. You see basically a flash of all the characters of the past. I don't know... I think they just used whatever the last design was for it. But, who else do you see? I'm pretty sure you see a lot of the okay, this one's just literally dead. Because I've gone through so many screens. Yeah, you see the GT crew, that's nice. You see the Sparking crew, you see Rantaro never spoke a word this season. Or even before. You see a lot of the past Bladers, which is really cool. You see, oh, I thought that was nice. And you see, now guys, they were gonna do barricade. Listen, Lane had it. You gotta zoom in. You gotta zoom in on the corner there. You see, he had barricade this whole time. It's good to know Lane's also just very chilled out watching with Harry. Did we see else? No, we did see Rashad in Pain because I remember there's the other yeah. There's Pain there, but I don't remember if I saw Rashad there when I was flashing through. But I see Fi and Hyde. Green, Louis, Free, and then they go like, oh, it's the passion for Beyblade, the love for Beyblade. It's like, it's kind of more or less the same thing of the manga. In the manga, it was kind of more, Bell's like carrying the torch for like future generations, and here it's kind of just more like cliffhanger at the end, but like for the manga, we kind of saw the result. So, yeah, what are my final thoughts on Quad Strike? Very jarring pacing here and there. I think when things actually got moving, the season was genuinely interesting. I think the choreography was very weak for the early parts of the season. The early parts of the season also had pretty weak art and animation. Very much like off-model stuff. I think the Xander set of episodes was really terrible, just in visual presentation and for pacing in the story. I think everyone else pretty much was like more or less fine. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else like legitimately I can think of? Anything else? I thought PAX was really good. PAX and P were really good. I'm really tired. Again, great voice actor work from everyone involved. This was a good season. I want to say that I have this definitely above D-Bean's Sparking anime. 100%. 200% actually. GT, I think I have it above GT. GT is kind of weird for me to rank high because I think I just like the cast of characters because GT really has no story. So I might end up ranking GT, unfortunately, I think a little bit lower than what I originally had. But overall, I would say was solid enough. I think this was nice. And now Burst is done. That is it. The manga was officially done like over a year ago. Now the anime's done. That's it. That's how the story concludes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I gotta leave it on one of these just so I can stand up because I've been sitting here passing through screens while discussing. Read the disclaimer, YouTube. I already swore a lot. We should be fine, hopefully. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to do it again, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to change the start of that, huh? No, but yeah, overall, pretty solid. No real. I mean, I'll probably do like a little bit more in depth than what I'm doing right now. Right now, it's very surface level, and try to do the best I can. It's been an absolute honor. Everyone, hold on. For this one, for the last salute, let me do it like properly. It's been an absolute honor, everyone, covering Beyblade Burst from all the way to the end. I have a lot of episode content to do now for like the Bays actually battling, so that's gonna be fun. And that's pretty much it. Alrighty. I don't know what this is. Thanks for watching. Bye.